from 1982, released on 4K UHD, is Creepshow from Scream Factory. I utterly love this film. If you asked me to pick my favourite anthology horror movie, without a doubt, easy to go to, Creepshow. It's just perfect. It's one of those movies that takes a great director, a great writer, and puts them together, and magic just forms. This is definitely a throwback to the EC comics of the 50s, and you can see it all the way through it. And it's that kind of aesthetic, the kind of pulpy nature of the stories that just becomes oh so fantastic watching it all the way through it. Now, there are several stories in this, but the prologue is all about Billy, a little boy who just wants to read his comics, but his father is kind of domineering and throws his book out into the trash, and the wind blows it, and we start to see the stories throughout this one. We jump into the first story, Father's Day, where we have a couple going to their father's home to almost celebrate his death. They're going to gather together, tell some stories. It's an annual kind of thing that they do. The family all seems a little bit messed up, and most terrifying of all is Ed Harris with hair. Oh God, so disturbing. This is one of those stories where you can understand what the characters have done. You can understand their reactions to the bloody murder that happens in this one. And it's, although it's a lot of payback for things that have happened in these stories, you feel that this is almost unjust. The weight that was put on these characters, the emotional stress is pretty horrific. And it sets the stall out straight away with some great performances, and then it throws in this red-blue neon lighting that just lets you know that this is another world, another universe you're in. The skewed perspectives, the Dutch angles, the lighting, everything just screams a little bit Italian horror at times, but definitely comic booky feel to it, and you get flung into a great story. And then they do something really wacky. They go to a comedic silly story in The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill, where you have Stephen King playing the main character, and it is over the top and caricatured and silly. It's about a meteor landing on this kind of yokel's farm, and he dreams of the riches it will give him, not realising that this will be his last night on Earth. Again, the production value, the performance from Stephen King is so funny and silly. The interludes, the non sequitur type things are so caricatured and weird and wacky that you can't help but have a bit of fun with it.
Fingers have got to come off.
The next story, Something to Tide You Over, is possibly one of my favourite here. You get Leslie Nielsen and Ted Danson in this two-hander where Nielsen turns up at Danson's house, says, you know, I know you've been sleeping with my wife. If you want to see her, come with me. And takes him to the beach, burying him up to his neck and torturing him. It's a kind of simple story. There's not a great deal to it, but the idea behind it is horrific. The torturous nature, the sting in the tail.
I could make Harry all gone. Oh no. I wouldn't do that.
A man scorned, and his actions are over the top, to say the least, drastic. But again, you've got Leslie Nielsen, who does a really great performance of this smiling everyday man with homicidal tendencies, and Danson is great as well in this one, and it's got a great little sting in the tail at this one. But you know, I do like Something to Tide You Over, but the crate, I think the crate may be my favourite in this one, where you get Hal Holbrook as a professor at a university. You get Adrienne Barbeau as his bully of a wife, and I think it's the interaction between these two that is just wonderful.
Oh, Henry, can't you do anything right?
Huh?
Huh? That's what I figured. Huh? That's just what I'd expect from you.
He is a downtrodden, beaten man. This woman has just wore him away. He has fantasies of killing her, and it takes great pleasure in that. When his colleague discovers a box that seems to have been under the stairs of this university, they discover some horrific monster inside of it. And we have our character thinking, this could be the time to get rid of my wife. It's bloody, it's fun. There's not really a kind of revenge kind of nature to this one. It's someone doing something horrific. Nothing really comes back to haunt them, which is great because the stories all are varied and different, and sometimes people get their comeuppance, sometimes they don't, like in The Crate, although it does leave with a rather questioning finale of what next. And finally, and I would say the weakest story of the lot is They're Creeping Up With You, which is all about cockroaches.
Bastards.
We have a man, Pratt, who is playing a Howard Hughes type of character that is, well, he's horrific. In general, he berates, shouts, screams at people, demands. He is someone who will tolerate nothing whatsoever and is just looking for a reason to kick off. And he is in his space, which is futuristic and where he is isolated, and bugs start to get in and he starts freaking out. Now, it's fine. It's not. It's always the one that feels as if, you know, it isn't as great as the rest of the stories. And it's one that I kind of get through on that. But for me, Creepshow is a wonderful mix of fantastic pulpy tales, jumping straight in and telling a really fun 20-25 minute story and then getting the hell out of it. And I feel like it's just been the calibre of the director who knows the kind of fun movie he's in and really plays into it, with a writer who, again, is just seemed to having all different types of fun on this, because we get 5 very different kind of stories. It just feels like everything was on fire and everything works tremendously well. I love the lighting, the comic book effects of the transitions, the kind of overarching story throughout it with Billy, which is just fun and has a nice kick at the end of this one. And yeah, perfect. What more can I say about it? 4K UHD looks amazing. I was so happy to get this one from my friend Joel, and is one that I would say absolutely pick this up. If you've never seen Creepshow, you're in for an absolute treat. Wonderful. I'd love to know your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. Let me know in the comment box below your thoughts on this one, whether you love it, hate it, or fall somewhere in the middle. And also, what is your favourite anthology movie? And if you don't have a movie, maybe a segment in a movie that's your favourite story, could be curious about that, because I definitely have one, my favourite anthology horror story. And yeah, I'll maybe come back and tell you about that another day. As always, there is more content up here. You can see more of my stuff. In the description box below are links to Patreon, membership program, and manbyfilm.com. Always in which you can support me. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.